Frank and I have I don't know if you were going to tell this story, Frank, or not, so hopefully I'm not ruining it, but there's one time I went to one of Frank's seminars, and I was sleeping I was hanging out in his guest house, and me and his brother, Bob, had gone out. We went out till, I don't know, like 3 o'clock maybe? I think it was like 3:30 in the morning or something. We were strolling back to the house, and Frank gets up pretty early to go running, and he had invited everyone from the seminar to go running, and I'm like, what the hell? I'm sure I'm not going to be up another time at 4 a.m. or 4:30 or whatever it was to go do some exercise, and so I just stayed up and went for, was it like a 2-mile run with you guys? 5? I don't think I could have made 5. Maybe. But it was like one of those incredible little, I'm still up, passing through the night, well, we'll just keep going. So Frank is one of those really incredible individuals that, as I said yesterday, is one of my mentors for the way that he uses his business in an incredibly impactful way, and just who he is as a person. What he does in his business world is he builds these incredible multi-million-dollar mansions on spec on the beach. Average selling price about $15 million, and he builds them on spec, meaning he has no buyer. So, like he and I were talking, I'm like, Frank, do you ever worry about selling these things? He's like, nah, I just need one buyer. I'm like, yeah, you're right. And he really considers himself, and I do as well, a real estate artist, because it's not just building kind of a boring house. There's always a unique feature to it. You'll see in what he does and what he presents and how he presents himself that there's a big differentiation point. He's uniquely different, but he has an incredible heart. I've been fortunate to spend a lot of time with him in Haiti. We do a trip once a year. And so we funnel those profits from the houses. We bring together donors, and everyone buys a house to create a village in Haiti where it becomes a self-sustaining village with a microeconomic engine attached to it so that they can be responsible and be independent. And Doug Dobler's right here. If you want to stand up for a sec, Doug. Doug's a Maverick member who, Doug organizes these incredible trips and puts them on. So you'll hear a lot about Haiti, and you'll hear a lot about what Frank does. And Frank's just a very special person to me, and I appreciate you guys being here this morning. You're going to get a lot out of it. So let's welcome, actually, you know what? Before we welcome up Frank, let's do something cool. Let's play a video to show what's up with Frank's world.
We have a treat for you, a peek inside a $12 million mansion. The guy who built it says he left home as a teenager with just $50 in his pocket.
2020 continues.
Meet a builder who's given big a whole new meaning. Martin Bashir found him sitting on the top of the world at the top of the market.
McKinney is unafraid. He seems to be taking the biggest risk imaginable with his approach to real estate. That's because he builds entirely on speculation, which Frank McKinney invests in elaborate marketing strategies. Willing to risk life and limb, he launched himself and a motorcycle over a replica of the first home he'd ever sold, in front of real estate agents representing some of the richest people in the world.
The true show starts when you walk in the front door of that house.
Welcome, everybody, to the finest oceanfront home in all the land.
Who on earth is going to buy this?
All it takes is one.
What would you say to some people looking at your properties who might be tempted to think they are monstrosities? They're huge, gargantuan, vulgar.
Well, typically those are the people that aren't my buyers.
This is Extreme Miami Hotspots.
I've been all over the world. I've been to many places. I've seen many spectacular homes, but this home takes the cake.
Meet Frank. Don't let the hair fool you. He's not a rock star. He actually designs and builds homes for the uber rich.
The minute they stand on this glass water floor, I guarantee you their blood pressure drops 20 points. First ever, 1 in a million water floors. If I had to sum up in one word, it would be sensory overload. Hyphenated. I'm a doer. I go out and do. I don't talk about it. I make it happen. I'm not going to follow headlines. I'm going to make them. That LIANA house you saw, that's the world's largest and most expensive certified green home.
I think one of the things I'm most proud of is we've been able to prove that you can build a beautiful home and be environmentally responsible at the same time.
Real estate. Enormous fortunes are created with this tangible commodity. And the lifestyle of a real estate millionaire is intoxicating. Millions want a piece of the action, and thousands have benefited from it. But nobody has done it Maverick style quite like Frank McKinney. Frank McKinney, the maverick, daredevil, real estate entrepreneur, and best-selling author.
He has accomplished so many amazing things. He's a philanthropist, he's a real estate mogul, he is an author.
On the cover of my book, The Tap,
I think it is an amazing book.
Frank McKinney is a real estate mogul who says that we can still make money even in this housing market. He just wrote the book called Burst This.
Dead Fred is set in Delray Beach and centers around the life of 13-year-old Kiki.
I wanted to do 3 different genres, write them at the same time, and release them on the same day.
Why the same day? Why was that such a...
Because it hadn't been done before.
Frank McKinney has rocketed from selling $40,000 junker homes to creating $40 million mansions. USA Today calls Frank McKinney the king of ready-made dream homes, and the Wall Street Journal knows him as the real estate rock star.
There's 50,000 people in the entire world that can afford what I do.
Donald Trump writes of Frank McKinney in his new book. Frank McKinney looks like a cross between a rock star and a surfer, but that's Frank's style, and he's very successful. Frank McKinney has built a mega successful life that has allowed him to have it all: fame, fortune, family, and philanthropy.
In Haiti right now, we're building a village for 900 people, and we're a little short. We want to build that village by the end of the year.
Initially, we wanted to do this around the world, different locales, Honduras, Jamaica, Nicaragua. But seeing what we've seen here today, there's no sense in going anywhere else.
Surviving Death Valley.
According to the National Geographic, it's the most difficult race in the world, period.
Real estate guru and best-selling author Frank McKinney have surprised even themselves.
Because this is what I call the highway to hell. I'm excited to be back, finishing the toughest foot race in the world, out there in the desert, suffering a little for those who are suffering a lot in Haiti and the other countries that the Clearinghouse is working in.
We now have 86 competitors in the world's toughest foot race.
Not just a belt buckle, but possibly the most cherished badge of courage in sports.
Like a true maverick, Frank McKinney has blazed his way through the successes of real estate on his own paths.
It wasn't long ago that I came to Florida with $50 in my pocket and no plan other than I'm going to listen to what I think God's trying to tell me to do, and I'm going to apply the abilities that He's given me, and I'm going to succeed. It wasn't long ago that that's where I was, digging sand traps on a golf course.
All right, let's welcome up the original Maverick, Frank McKinney.
Oh, yeah. That's good stuff. Thanks, buddy. Come on. Oh. Woo! Who says Yannick's events don't rock? Oh, when was the last time you heard Ozzy Osbourne at 8 o'clock in the morning? Figure that's the best way to wake you up. Well, first of all, thank you very much, Yannick and AJ and Sophia and Jarrett and Chris and everybody and all the volunteers and the techs for putting this event together, for having me here. Wonderful, you're doing a wonderful job. I'm a little bit of a fish out of water here, though. You gotta understand, when I looked at the agenda and read about the bios of some of the people that are presenting yesterday and today, I am a low-tech guy. I'm really not a high-tech online marketer. But I do have a purpose, and it was wonderful for Yannick to allow me to take, a little bit of your time this morning and sharing what that purpose is today. I do have a online marketing story for you, though, that caused for us to sell one of those houses for $30 million because of an online strategy. So we do have that in common. The video depicted some very theatrical grand unveilings, some grand openings. As I said, there's about 50,000 people in the world that can afford what we do for a living out of 7 billion. So my chances of success, according to my bankers, my early bankers, the bankers that said no, was 7 zeros and then a 7 and then a percent sign. So from the very first homes that we did back in the late 80s, the $50,000 crack homes, we had a way of marketing them like nobody else. So in real estate, you can overpay for the opportunity. You can certainly over-improve a little bit, but if you know how to sell, it makes up for a lot of sins, doesn't it? Doesn't matter your business, if you know how to sell. And so we took a page from these theatrical grand unveilings and we decided to, if Hollywood does so well in producing trailers that represent a 3-hour movie and gets the people in the theater seats with just a kick, you-know-what trailer, why? This is back in 2000, before 2000. Why shouldn't real estate be promoted in the same way? If you went to look at a house back in the year 2000, they had virtual tours where a camera was actually set on a chair and then they'd take a picture. You remember taking those old-fashioned virtual tours? Well, we were the first to say, let's make an actual Hollywood movie type trailer for a $30 million house that we had built on speculation. So I hired a video company, much like this company here, quality company doing the work, and we made one. It was a little bit over 3-minute trailer. Put it on my website, and within a month after reading an article in USA Today where a MIT professor said that young man will be dumpster diving in 2 years because there is no market for $30 million spec homes, and here I am, a guy who never had the benefit of going to college and graduated high school with a 1.8 grade point average, you better believe I was intimidated by what an MIT professor is going to say. 1 month after reading that article, because I posted that trailer, which was nothing more than a glorified virtual tour of a house that we had built, we had a young tech wizard who had sold a company by the name of Storage Apps. Does anybody remember? It was a data storage company. He was in his mid-30s. He sold it to AOL for a bunch of money. He pushed play on my trailer, watched it from his office in New York, loved what he saw, got in his Gulfstream jet on a Tuesday, landed, we toured him, and he was sleeping there as the owner of that house on a Friday. No inspections, check cleared, because we sell our houses fully furnished down to the gold-plated toothbrush in the bathroom, linens on the beds, towels in the closets. So from that point forward, if you go, even though our website is still archaic compared to some of the stuff I'm learning here from you all, or from some of the presenters, you go to our website now, you'll see some of those fantastic trailers that we still use to this day. And if it caused for me to sell one house on speculation for $30 million, you better believe it, I'll continue to do it. That's my technology story. I sat through about 4 presentations yesterday, and you're going to absorb so much content here. I don't know how your brain can process it all. I really doubt that it can. And as I was listening, because we do have an online presence, and we do for our charity, certainly, if you can take away one thing from every speaker, one thing that you can take home today, just one, and you have 20 of them to listen to, that's 20 things that you can do when you get home. I would challenge you or maybe encourage you not to try to implement every single thing that you hear today. Take the one. There's a wonderful book out there called The One Thing, and it talks about condensing your pursuits into that one kind of crystallized idea or vision. So that's what I've been doing. I've been writing down the one thing, and the one thing I want to leave you with, or start you with, and you'll take from here. And one of my friends, Jim Whalen and Scott, reminded me, Scott Smoliak, where are you guys sitting? You are going to hear a lot of stuff that motivates you to do better when you get home with your businesses. Motivation washes off at night like the soap from your body. It goes down the drain. I mean, that's why we continue to have to find what I call vitamin M. We don't internally make it, we have to find it, and we find it in places like this. Inspiration might last a little longer, but it too will wear off like the effects of an aspirin or Tylenol. It really does, they don't last. But aspiration Aspiration will change your DNA. What do you aspire to do? What do you aspire to be like? What legacy do you want to leave behind for your kids and your family? So I'm motivated by, I'm inspired by, but I aspire to be, fill in the blank, more like X. I aspire to leave that. And when I started living what I call an aspirational life, my entire outlook and results changed. The pre-aspiration days started here. Corn-fed country boy from Indiana, went to 4 high schools in 4 years. One of them run by Jesuit priests, one of them run by the public school system, 4,000 students. Another one, I went to school in Canyon City, Colorado, for my Colorado friends, that was run by Benedictine monks. So when I went to class, I was taught by teachers that would tie their robe together with a thick brown rope and put a little hood over their head. It was a reform school. So the 4 high schools in 4 years wasn't because I was, my father was in the military. It was because I was asked to leave one school after the next. I love that reform school. When you get sent to reform school, who are you there with? I mean, a bunch of people that are just like you. I loved it. But it didn't love me. It asked me to leave. I ended up graduating from a high school in Indiana. And so you can see in that little slide there that that's my sister to the right. You can tell she's not very happy with me holding a bat over my friend's head. And that was our little posse in the neighborhood. I even think those pants are starting to make a comeback. But as a troublemaking young man who spent a lot of time in juvenile detention halls, I knew there was a higher calling, a professional higher calling than being a drain on society. When I was 18, with that 1.8 grade point average, no other formal education, and no hope of pursuing even a community college, I got on a plane and took a one-way trip to Palm Beach County, Florida, because I liked living in the sun and didn't want to live on a corn-fed, farm in Indiana in the cold. And when I landed, now, I'm older than most of you in the room, but some of you that are about my age will remember a show on TV called Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. Robin Leach, a modern-day version would be MTV Cribs or something like that. And I landed in Palm Beach County, and instantly I saw people living lifestyles of the rich and famous. I'm 18, I'm impressionable, I'm materialistic, and I want every bit of that life. But, with a job where I dug sand traps on a golf course, earning $180 a week as a maintenance worker, digging the sand traps for the same rich people who were trying to avoid hitting that little white ball in the hole I had just dug, I watched them play golf all day and wondered, what in the world do they do for a living? I mean, how is it that they can afford to live this lifestyle? South Florida, very different from Carmel, Indiana. And so I was moved from the golf course to the tennis courts as a maintenance worker, and the same people who were playing golf all day were playing tennis in the afternoon. I became a tennis instructor. I was a very good tennis player as a young boy, as a junior. I was ranked in the Midwest. I picked up my tennis racket. I started playing again, good enough to where I could give people tennis lessons. I became a certified teaching professional. Just like you could get a license to count somebody's money as an accountant or a lawyer to practice law, I went away and I went to a school and I got a certificate to be a tennis instructor. I went from $4 an hour to $40 an hour. And I worked 10-hour days, 6.5 days a week. I know Yannick doesn't invite any IRS agents to his seminars, but I will tell you, when you are making $40 an hour as a 18, 19-year-old and you're putting $400 in your pocket every day, we didn't know anything about filing tax returns. We just took the money and we would put it in the bank. Contrary to what you might think is standing before you or what you saw in the video, I'm a lot less exciting than I look. I'm a nerd in sheep's clothing. Ask my wife. The reason I'm able to come at 8 o'clock in the morning is I went to bed last night at about 9. I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't womanize, I don't gamble, I don't overeat, I don't oversleep. Sounds like I don't have a lot of fun, but I did have that desire to change what I had been in Indiana. So, those little tennis shorts would come home with, that's really bad. My daughter, I'm not a PowerPoint person. This is like one of the second times I've done it. My daughter at 15 helped me put this together, and she said, "Daddy, you got to wear those stupid looking shorts." That's what she did. She's laughing. You are going to show that to your friends? But those little shorts, I'd come home at the end of the day, and listen, even though the fabric of the pant was not as long as the fabric from the pocket, that pocket would hang down so low because it was full of those $50 bills. And I started to make a nice living. I actually was able, at 21, yeah, I know, eyes off the shorts, look at the car. At 21, I was able to buy a Ferrari from teaching tennis. I ran the program at an oceanfront community, and I ended up picking up other contracts of new communities that were being built on the ocean. They needed leisure time, their leisure time filled with activity. I would go to the sales manager and says, you don't have to pay me a dime. But you're trying, what's your name, James? Julian? Right there, yeah, you. No, in front. Justin, sorry, it was a J. Justin would be the sales manager, and I said, Justin, how about if I come in and put together tennis programs for you? You're trying to sell $1 million homes and condos. You don't have to pay me a thing, just don't take a cut of my hourly rate. He could drive people around in the golf cart, show them, hey, there's your $1 million house. No, by the way, there's a tennis instructor here that will serve your tennis needs. It was amazing. I was making, 6 figures a year, and the year before I was making $4 an hour. After a while, I realized I need to continue my education. How did these people that I was teaching tennis to, who played golf all morning and played tennis in the evening, how did they get to where they were? What was their secret to success, to living a lifestyle of the rich and famous? So, at 21 years old, I'm fit, I can run around 10 hours on a tennis court all day long. The people I'm teaching tennis to, let's say Jim Whalen in the cowboy hat, he's done extremely well for himself. He goes to Ruth Chris Steakhouse every night, he drinks, he's out of shape, but he has everything in his life that I look up to. So I come up with this little conspiracy, and the conspiracy was, and if you were all my tennis students, the idea was, what if I run Jim around really hard for 45 minutes of an hour-long tennis lesson? By that point, I was making $50 an hour. And after 45 minutes, he's too tired to finish. I bring him a cold drink and a towel, he sits down, and I get 15 minutes to pick his brain, to earn what amounted to be my PhD in entrepreneurship, and ultimately my master's in real estate. So, Jim, how'd you get to live this lifestyle? And the answer would go something like this. Oh, I was a successful trial lawyer, I won a lot of money in court, I beat the insurance companies at the settlement table. And my first case, I invested in a duplex. Well, my first question to him is, what's a duplex? Never heard the word in my life. Oh, Frank, it's a building, I rented out both sides, and I had $300 a month positive cash flow. $300 a month? Now, wait a minute. Inside those shorts, I could pull out $400 a day. Why would I even think about $300 a month? I'll tell you why, because that story was told to me by a man who was in his 50s, who bought his first duplex when he was 22. He was now 55 years old. He had 60,000 rental units paying him $500 a month. So when he told me that, I ran home, I got my box of, Captain Crunch, I pulled out the free calculator, and I'm calculating $30 million a month. Holy mackerel. So that's entertaining. You hear a story like entertaining, right? But I heard a real estate related story at the end of somebody's 9-to-5 life. In other words, his 9-to-5, his cubicle was law, but he took his discretionary income and invested in real estate. People, I'm telling you, I heard that story over a dozen times. At the point of somebody's success story was some real estate related footnote. I had to be a part of it. So I took all my hard-earned money, and that was our first $50,000 crack house that I bought in the late 80s. I bought it for $36,000. We fixed it up, and my approach to real estate, as far as being an artist, started with that first house. $15 a yard carpet instead of 10, 3 coats of paint instead of 2, a new roof instead of just patching the old roof, grass sod instead of grass seed. I wanted to take people who were renting the American dream and teach them and provide for them. Who wants to rent the American dream? You want to own the American dream. And for 5 years of my life, first 5 years of my real estate career, I didn't do a house worth more than $100,000. And I provided the American dream to people who were renting it before. They got to own a piece of it. Not only did we provide them with the inventory to buy, but we taught them how to get their credit in shape so they could pay off their unpaid medical bills. We'd take them into the banks, we'd get them financed, It was a wonderful little machine where we would bring them in a door. Like I'd actually rent out a little cafeteria in a school, and I'd give a little talk about it was called our First Time Homebuyer Program, and I'd teach people how to own their own home. And it was wonderful. It made us very, very fulfilled. Then, after doing that for 5 years, how many people have read the book by Malcolm Gladwell called Blink? How many hours does it take to become an expert? Say a little louder. 10,000 hours. 10,000 hours full-time is 5 years. I was in the real estate business for 5 years doing houses worth less than $100,000 when I realized, when I read his book, oh my goodness, I became an expert at the craft of real estate. This here was our first oceanfront masterpiece that we did in the early 90s. Again, all on speculation. We buy it, build it or renovate it, furnish it, and like the Field of Dreams, hope somebody will come. We then quickly moved up the price point ladder. The first house was $2 million. We went to $5 million. Here's a $10 million estate where we actually used, again, the movie theme. We made a movie poster. That movie poster was our invitation to the grand unveiling. That was kind of the, coming attractions type movie poster. Here's a $20 million house that we did on the ocean, again on speculation. That was a 12,000 square foot house. This was the biggest house that we did to date. That was the house that I sold to the gentleman who got in his Gulfstream 5 jet, who sold storage apps in his mid-30s. We sold that house for $50 million, $30 million, $50 million, sorry, this is the $50 million house. 32,000 square feet, 12 bedrooms, 18 bathrooms, and a 24-car garage on 3 acres of direct oceanfront in Palm Beach County. This was in the mid-2000s. We all like that sound, don't we? This was a little side story. I spent a year in Italy. I designed a 72,000 square foot, 20 bedroom house, 25 bathrooms on 5 acres, and I realized that might be a little bit too much. That was getting a little ahead of myself. And so we actually had somebody ride up on a bicycle when we were ready to pour the foundation who offered to buy the land from me at a $10 million profit, more than what we paid for the land. We ended up eating about $50,000 worth of concrete because once it's in the truck, it's gone as you bought it. And I ended up selling that land to a gentleman who sold a cabinet making company. Just going to show you a couple of the interiors. So artistry, right? We need I think it's important, regardless of what line of work you're in, to take an artist approach to what you do, even your online presence. And so we actually work with Disney to design this bar, where if you see on the right-hand side there, that's a 4-sided glass wine room where the 4th side was an aquarium wall. And the fish would actually swim from the aquarium over your head. You can see there's an arch over there, drop down in the tower on the other side, and then they would swim underneath your martini glass, $500 tropical saltwater fish. We had to leave the whole east side of the house off because that one whole aquarium piece of acrylic came in one piece. Again, this was the world's largest and most expensive triple certified green home that was ever built. Another bar there we did. That was also bought by a Maverick. That's John Ferber's a Maverick, is he not? Okay, so this was bought by a Maverick. I met him by selling him this. This was a $9 million house. It's one of our kitchens. In real estate, most rooms are female in gender. The kitchen, the master bedroom, and the master bathroom. We pay a lot of attention to those rooms. And this, I tell you, when the wives walked into this kitchen, those kitchen cabinets were made of koa wood from Hawaii. Koa is not allowed to leave the island of Hawaii unless you are of Hawaiian descent. It was the most beautiful wood I had ever seen. So I'm not Hawaiian, my wife's not Hawaiian. Actually, you'd have an easier time getting like Kona Gold marijuana off of Hawaii than you would this wood. And so our cabinet maker had a distant relative that was Hawaiian. We were able to export this wood, and when people saw that, those countertops were made of fossilized gemstone granite. Fascinating, most beautiful material we'd ever seen. So a woman walks into that kitchen, and the house is sold in a relatively short period of time. How about dinner with Yannick here? I mean, that is another beautiful kitchen. If you notice the iridescence on the countertop there, very, very thick, 3 inches thick. Here's one of our oceanfront master bedrooms. Again, you spend your money, just doesn't matter the price point, $50,000 or $50 million, bedroom, bathroom, and kitchen. So now, there it is, Yannick and Missy's bedroom. There's Yannick sitting there after he closed a big deal. That room is right on the ocean. That room is the master of the AQUA house that was the world's largest and most expensive certified green home. But the most expensive room in the house is this. Now, average cost to me to build a house is a little shy of $1,000 a square foot. This room, onyx shower, a tub that cost us $55,000 that was made by a boat builder. You know onyx in your jewelry. This shower was adorned in book-matched onyx, and this is where Yannick washes his. Yes, that is where Yannick cleans himself. That shower would keep any marriage together. This is our underwater garage. So when you drive in at night in your Bentley, I happen to drive a Yugo. For those of you who remember the Yugos, I love Yugos. I have an AMC Matador, 1971 Matador I drive as well. But that you drive in, you see that scene there. That is a water floor, as you saw in the video. You walk on water. You walk in the front door, a foyer that was about as big as one of these banks of chairs. And when you walked in the front door, you're actually walking on glass. Beneath your feet is 18 inches of crystal clear water with a lotus garden motif hand painted on tiles below. Stunning. And that chandelier was a 9-foot tall, hand-blown glass chandelier that my wife hung every single one of those pieces of glass. With the touch of a button, that chandelier turned into a water feature and actually looked like it was dripping or melting into the water floor below. Artistry. Van Gogh, Renoir, Monet, wonderful paintings, 10, 20, $30 million. I provide three-dimensional art that you can jump into the painting and live. Same people that are writing a check for $30 million for a painting are writing $30 million checks for our houses. But why? Because we took a little bit of a different approach. We took an artist approach to our craft. There's AQUARIUM's 16-person fire spa. So we combine fire and water. You could put 16 persons into that spa. Together, your best friends, those people that end up going to Haiti with us or something like that, that might be something in your future. You step into that spa. You got to be able to market and sell. So there was an image, I think the video showed it, of me taking my motorcycle and jumping over a replica of the first house we ever sold. I don't come with the house. The show can be tacky, it can be corny, it can belong on Broadway or Vegas, but when those 600 VIPs and real estate brokers are there, and I step out of the way after we get them in the door, and we serve them these martinis that are in 18-ounce glasses where they actually can ingest gold. We put 18-karat gold on the bottom of the martini. They're drinking gold. Here we were taking that motorcycle and flying it over the house. Within a couple of weeks after that show, the call goes like this. I don't know about this guy with this show and the hair and all that, but you got to see this house. This is the most fantastic house. Mission accomplished. I don't come with a house. You can hate the way I dress, hate the way I look, but you want to own the artistry. We're going to invite you there and make sure that you love it. That was our pirate theme. So to Yannick's kids, don't follow Mr. McKinney's hairstyles, because there's a lot of really bad ones in these videos. This was one where we were tired of all the bubble talk and the negativity permeating the airwaves when it came to real estate. And the only thing I was going to put to death that night was all that talk, and then we came out of the ground in a coffin. I actually studied under an illusionist to pull off this illusion where I went from a rooftop to underground within seconds and popped out of a casket. So what is all this for? Why? So I became motivated and inspired, and then I aspired to be more than just a real estate person. Have y'all ever been in the newspaper? You ever been featured in the newspaper for anything? Good or bad? So when it comes out, we had just sold the most expensive spec house in Palm Beach County. And so there was an article that was going to be written on it, on the sale. So when you know you're going to be out in the newspaper, the first thing you're going to do the next day is, and you know it's going to be on the newsstands, you go to the dispenser, put in a quarter, pull out 10 papers. You don't pay for them all. You take them, you run home. Did they quote me right? Did I get my suit looking good? How about the picture of the house in the background? can't wait to open up the paper, sit down there all by yourself, and you open up the paper, you know, the old-fashioned paper. We're not reading online yet. We're opening it up, and there it is over here, the article on you and your glory and your triumph, and you sold the most expensive spec house in Palm Beach County's history. Yet on the other side of the page is an article and an image about a man who looked a whole lot like me. Have you ever been told you look like somebody? 9 times out of 10, that person's too fat, big nose is too big, they're too ugly. But there's that odd time that you're like, oh my goodness, that guy or girl really looks like me. So I'm wanting to read about myself, very enraptured with myself. And on this side was an image of a man being fed out of the back of a beat-up old Econoline van by the representatives of a soup kitchen, a homeless shelter. This man had just come out from underneath the I-95 overpass, sleeping underneath the girders. And listen, if I don't put a blow dryer to my hair, and Lord knows how many hair care products I have in excess of what my wife has, and come up here like, there but for the grace of God go I could very easily look like I lived under the bridge. 20 years ago, a few left turns when I was in juvenile detention halls and causing a whole lot of trouble could have landed me a life that would have represented living under the bridge. Yet, why was I on the right-hand side of the page? And this man that looked there but for the grace of God go I, just like me, why was he on the left-hand side of the page? And all my success and all the adulation and the ascent was rendered meaningless in an instant. I went into a deep funk. I came all this way and I still feel like something's missing in my life. I felt very, very, shallow and materialistic, and it was about putting more cars in my garage and clothes in my closet and food in my pantry. Why didn't I end up on that side of the page? Very, very guilty and down. The answer was found, or I thought it would be found, in going to volunteer at the soup kitchen by serving meals to the homeless one night a week. And when I started to realize that we are put here, you're here to find your professional highest calling, or to improve your professional highest calling by all the information you're going to learn. We all have been blessed with a spiritual highest calling as well. And what I find in the business world is that people spend their entire lives pursuing the professional highest calling to the detriment of their spiritual highest calling. Spend very little time on that. And then they arrive, whatever that is to you, and it's not all it's cracked up to be. And so I wanted to I wanted to find out why I was so sad. And I realized that I had spent 35 years pursuing my professional highest calling, completely disregarding what gave me more fulfillment than any house I would ever build. And I wanted to dovetail my professional highest calling with my spiritual highest calling, because you know what? You're all here, if you strip away the primary reason you're here, or you get to the core of the essence of why you're here, isn't it to find happiness? I mean, your success in your business and whatever you're going to improve is going to ultimately improve your quality of life. I think that's why we're here. But wouldn't you love to skip over happiness, because that's fleeting, kind of like the motivation washing off in the shower, and land on joy, land on true joy. Not every day, but spend more time on joy than you spend on happiness. And what I found in caring for the world's most poor, Haiti is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. So I took my businessman's approach to success and realized that charity is a business, only the capital that we deal in is a little bit different. So you all want to go home and increase your cost per click and all your revenue and all that. So you're looking for an ROI. We want to improve the ROD, return on donation. I want to make sure that I'm stretching my donor's dollar as far as I can, and in this case, by being able to go over to Haiti and build entirely self-sufficient villages. So Yannick mentioned, we've built 21 villages in the last 11 years that combine housing, beautiful houses, schooling, many cases an orphanage, a community center, church, renewable food, and clean drinking water, all in a campus-like setting. I realized that I can tap into it's not about hugging orphans. It's not about even going over there and feeling better about what I do or feeling better about myself. It's about a stewardship. It's about a responsibility. It's about a calling, a spiritual highest calling. So with Yannick and the Mavericks, we've been able to build, there's one of our villages. Those houses right there, I can build for around $4,000 for a family of 8. Concrete, foundation, rebar in the walls, windows, a metal roof, 2 rooms, and a latrine. $4,000 for an entire house for a family of 8 that were living in a mud shack or a cardboard box. So I'm still in the housing business, aren't I? I provide to the world's most wealthy, and I love that. That is a gift. It would be a sin if I didn't use that gift of designing those houses. But I use that to benefit the world's poorest. So there's going to be a connection between whatever it is that you do for your professional highest calling to what you might want to do for your spiritual highest calling. And how wonderful it is when you discover what it is. Here's one of our 21 villages. Here's my daughter at one of the schools that we built. This was a trip that we actually did with Yannick and the Mavericks. The video mentioned very quickly, this is a little out of place, but that I run these ultramarathon races that are races in excess of 100 miles nonstop. This was me getting ready to cross the finish line of the world's toughest foot race in Death Valley, the Badwater Ultramarathon, 135 miles in 130-degree heat, nonstop on blacktop pavement. The pavement's over 200 degrees. It's my hobby. I don't collect stamps. I don't like that. This is what I do for fun. But I suffer a little. That's my mantra. You better believe that as the skin's peeling off the bottom of my feet, and I'm thinking about how horrible this is, I think about the people in the villages that are living on $2 a day, that if you had a child here, like kids Yannick's age, there's a 22% chance those children will not see their 5th birthday. The average life expectancy in Haiti is 47 years old. And so when I think I'm having a little trouble, this was self-induced. I signed up for the race. Quit feeling sorry for yourself. These people didn't sign up for what they're experiencing in Haiti. And I press on. It's one way we raise a lot of money for our charity. This was just another thing. My daughter said, tell them why you're wearing a beard, Daddy, because I usually don't have a beard. But there was a movie that I actually got an opportunity to play. Can you guess? We played Jesus in a movie, and it was used to benefit our charity. We have some of those DVDs in the back, so that's why the beard's on. The purpose the reason I'm here today, and I think we're going to have enough time to even do a little Q&A, is that up until now, we take one trip to Haiti a year. Our Caring House Project Foundation does not do black tie events or golf outings or cocktail parties. Just don't like them. I don't like going to them, really, and I think people get tired of them, especially in Palm Beach County. We do experience events. We bring people to Haiti. We bring people to Haiti to see firsthand the villages that they helped us build, to see firsthand, when you think you had a bad day because your Instagram account won't load, and you go into one of these villages and you see where these people were living. Sorry I don't have a before picture in here, but oh my goodness. You will come back feeling the most enriched or riched person in the world. In May, we are bringing 30 people to Haiti. Yannick, people that have read my books and kind of follow my real estate stuff, and then we combine that with people that follow Yannick through the Mavericks. So in the past, it was all Mavericks that were coming to Haiti, and so what he has allowed us to do this time for the 14, or Doug, how many seats do we, 14-ish seats, I don't know, that we have left, is anybody who wants to come to Haiti with us in May can. And I'm going to give you a little bit of the agenda because it's a first. May 14th, you come and you have dinner at my house on the ocean in Delray Beach. It's the last oceanfront home that is of historic nature. It was built in 1930. So I live in, if you hated what I did for a living, like Martin Bashir said it was garish or whatever the word he used, if you hated what I did for a living, my house is the antidote. It's beautiful, but it was built 84 years ago on the ocean. I work from a treehouse. There is my office. So I hadn't been an author. I've written 5 books in 4 genres. I hadn't been an author until I built that treehouse. You know, it's ingenuity and creativity that's rewarded in business today, right? We know that. It's a car company. No, it's Tesla. It's a tech company. It's just an MP3 player. No, it's not. It's an iPod. Just a tablet. No, it's not. It's an iPad. It's just a house. No, it's not. It's a Frank McKinney creation. Finding a place that draws out your creativity and ingenuity was everything to me. I built that house, the Treehouse, in 2001, and since then, I've written 5 books in 4 different genres at that desk, and built and designed some of the most beautiful houses the world's ever seen. So what we do is you come to the house, we have dinner at my house, around my deck, and then we go up and we have some private time in the Treehouse, which is a very, very special place. Now, I'm gonna ask Jordan and Paula to stand up, and Doug, and Mikola, Tatiana, she's coming, she's still sleeping. Yannick, Ben is asleep. Okay. Am I missing anybody? Oh, Jim Whalen. These people have come to Haiti with us. They've come to my house. Some of them have been multiple folks that have returned to Haiti with me. Once you finish dinner at my house, the next day on the 15th, we get on a plane, all 30 of us. We book the seats so we sit together. We fly only 2 hours. We land in Haiti. And in 2 days, so from Thursday till you'll be home Saturday by noon. In 2 days, you will have an immersionary experience that will forever alter your DNA. We take kids, we take adults, but in those 2 days, you will go to a school and you will teach. Nothing. I mean, remember Yannick when we were there, we just grabbed some chalk and started teaching on the board. And then you go to the playground. And me and Yannick make up so many. The last time we were there, we made up a game where we threw axes into a tree, and the first person got the axe to stick. Actually, they got to crawl down into a latrine, right, or something.
Well, you got to pick who the other person would be to go down into the bottom of the latrine.
So a latrine is a toilet. Before it was a toilet, it's just a hole in the ground. So I actually got the axe to stick. It was an axe that you couldn't chop. I mean, it was very, very dull. I got it to stick. I picked Jordan to go down into the toilet. But you could donate your way out of the toilet. So Jordan donated only $100 and sent some poor little kid down there that was 18 years old and had to sit down. There's a picture of the kid in the bottom of the toilet. But the point is you engage with the kids. You play on their playground. You play the games they play, soccer, and some of the games we play, axe throwing. Then we'll go to an orphanage and we'll feed. You get to feed the children. They will touch you in a way, I mean, physically touch you because you have white skin and you have a different color hair than the rest of them. And then you'll go visit the village that you helped build. You get to see the after picture. The before picture, of course, but the after picture. And then for the first time, it took me a lot of convincing of Doug to allow this to happen. For the first time, we're going to sleep in the village. The village that you built, Mikola, that you helped build, we are going to, for those who are a little more adventuresome, we're going to sleep in the village. For those who don't want to, the host hotel is an ex-Club Med that if it was in Palm Beach County would be $500 a night. It's in Haiti, it's about $80 a night, and you actually are staying right on the beach in Haiti. Beautiful, beautiful setting. This is the event. If you want to go read up on it, the whole agenda is there, HaitiTrip2014.com, and we will have you home by noon on Saturday. For your donation to the charity. And by the way, if you can't go, I don't know, I would love to have Mikola come again, but if you can't go and you want to scholarship somebody to go, I have a list of people, young people that are disillusioned with free enterprise and capitalism and all that. Sometimes our country just seems to put a wet blanket on all that's great about it. We scholarship young people to be able to go. So if you want to donate to send somebody, we do that. But once you donate, you will donate to build one house. So your donation builds an entire house for a family of 8. It also, we're building our houses for $3,850 right now. The additional $1,100 in the donation, so total donation is $4,900, pays for your airfare, pays for your room, your hotel stay, pays for all your food, all your translators, all your drinks, all your transportation. You pay for nothing. If you happen to not live in Florida, you just pay to get down there, but we will pay to get you over to Haiti. That way it's a complete write-off for you by way of donation. I would tell you that for those who have come, and maybe Jordan, I'm just going to have, and we didn't talk about it, will you just come up for one second here? And maybe Yannick, you could let him borrow the, and Yannick, will you come up with him too? And maybe you could just, you've been with your wife.
Come on, Kearns.
Talk about.
It's amazing. That's the easiest way to say it is it's absolutely life-changing. Like going there and just seeing the kids there. Like I've been all over. I've been to a lot of third world countries. I've been to a lot of things like that. But actually going there and actually seeing like the impact you had and being able to see the smile on the kid's face. And there was a time when Yannick was dancing with some of the ladies, which was just awesome to see. So, but honestly, like just going down there and it's like you said, like we get so wrapped up in our day-to-day lives of, well, I got to make money, I got to be successful, I got to, do X, Y, and Z. It's so nice to go back down there and just take that breath away and say, why am I doing this? Like you alluded to it, is like, why am I making the money? Why am I doing all this? Is it for acquisition? Is it for materialism? Is it for all this stuff? But being able to go down there and see the house you built and be able to give that kid a hug, and that's all they want. They're not asking for anything. They just want to know that someone gives a shit about them. They just want to be loved and everything like that. It's such an incredible thing. Like I'm blown away that I was able to go. I'm super looking forward to going again.
I can't say enough about going to Haiti. It's one of those absolute life-changing moments. It's one of those things where, Steve has been there now and you built several villages afterwards. To see the kids there, like the way that we engage with the people there is we help give them free enterprise. We help prod them into that. We help them for the orphanage. We help them just be kids again and just enjoy being kids. Like, so Frank really inspires me in a lot of different ways. So the very, I think it was the second year I went, we created this game where you went to the top of the van and we had a basketball. And the kids, like we gathered all the kids around, which, just playing with them. And Frank, goes to the top and throws this basketball like 30 feet in the air. So he's already like 15 feet in the air and throws it, so it's like 40 feet in the air. And then like the balls are landing, they're catching them, some are like bonking them on the head. And I'm just like, holy shit. And then the next year I'm like, oh yeah, I'm definitely, no, I went there the first time, I'm like, yeah, I'm going up there, and we did that. But then the next year we got me and Ben up there, we're like throwing balls. It was just fun. And that's what they want, like you said, someone to love them. And you had one of my favorite sayings, and I wrote it down in my journal for sure, and you come back from a trip like that, you feel like, you feel guilty maybe for what you have here, and you feel guilty for all your success, and you shouldn't. Like, my favorite saying of yours is you can't, and maybe you'll say it better than I am, but I'll paraphrase it, but you essentially can't strengthen the weak by weakening the strong. And so it's up to all of us to be as successful as possible, but mold that, bring together that highest calling and that highest spiritual calling, like Frank was talking about.
There's one other person I do want to acknowledge. So I have books here, and I'm not, this is how we fund our charity. If you bought a book from me for $25, you just provided 250 meals. If you've done like what Jordan has done and Yannick done, you've built a house or donated $4,900, you come and you've built a whole house for a family. Come or not, it's a wonderful, $500 touch a life with shelter for $500 per person times 8 is 4,000. So we'd be happy to do that, or send somebody in your place, or scholarship somebody. But Steve Martell, this man who I think he started by buying one of my books and maybe donating $20, and then he might have built a house. He built an entire village.
That's our ascension model.
Yeah, an entire village. Stand up, Steve. You just need to be acknowledged, please, for me. That's Steve Martell.
But he is Canadian though, right? You know that.
But the exchange rate was awesome.
U.S. Canada is playing today for what would. No. U.S. is going to win for sure. You're welcome.
Okay, well, thank you for what you've done.
Yeah, you changed my life.
Well, thank you. I leave you with this. It's not a public school, so we can talk about prayer, right? How many people pray, and it's okay if you don't, just how many people pray at least every so often? Okay, and if you don't, it's cool. And if you pray, if you inventory your prayer at night or in the morning, so let me just go. So we're going down on our knees and we're praying. I'm praying for more health. I'm praying for more love. I'm praying for more success. I'm praying for more money. I'm praying for more opportunity for me or those I love. Inventory your prayer. There's some form of more in there. It's okay. It's okay. I contend that the more that you pray for, and how come God doesn't answer the prayers? Maybe you need to rephrase the question. And when you come to Haiti with us and you realize how much more you have compared to the more you're praying for, and if you're a responsible steward for the more that you already have, what happens to the territory? If you're a believer, perhaps the territory is enlarged a little bit. Perhaps he says, you're a responsible steward for this much or little. I'm going to bless you and enlarge your territory with more. 1.8 grade point average, no formal education, had no training in architecture, nothing. Yet, the biggest impact I will make, they won't be those oceanfront houses, they'll be rubble in 10 years. It's what we're doing over in Haiti. Bill Gates, richest man in the world. Do you think it's because he invented some operating system that we all use at one point or another? Or do you think it's the millions of lives that he has saved through his Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation? Do you think perhaps maybe there's a connection to there? You get to know this guy and his outlook on life. Do you think maybe because he's been a very responsible steward for the blessings he's been given? If you think that you might want to come with us, and Yannick will be there, and Jordan and some of the other folks that are Mavericks, tonight, well, first of all, we're back there, so come if you want it. We have 14 seats left. If you want to sign up now, we will sign you up. If you want some books, we've got books. If you're not sure, tonight in our room, so I told my wife, I said, get us a big room, a nice place where we can entertain. And so it really kind of will have the whole, like the whole top floor. It's all glass. Last night when that storm came through, I thought I was going to die. We're having a Haiti reunion party for everybody who's gone to Haiti. My wife is going to kill me, but if you've gone to Haiti, write it down, 4904. That's the room number. If you think you might want to go, 4904, come on up, and we're going to, as soon as Yannick's done with 5:30 or whenever you're done here.
Yeah, 5 o'clock or so.
We'll meet up in our room between 5:30 and 6:30 before we go to dinner. And I'm also going to be outside to talk a little bit more about the opportunity. Motivation washes off in the shower. Inspiration wears off like the effects of an aspirin. But hopefully, I've aspired you, touched the aspiration nerve, that you'll aspire to leave something great for yourself, for your kids, and some legacy that you all can be proud of. Thank you, Yannick. Thank you, AJ. Thank you, Sophia.
All right.